To this day, we talk about it, and that's something that I wouldn't trade for $1,200 or $1,300. Hey guys, Gibby here. Today I want to talk a little bit about vacation and the importance of making memories on them. Now, this is sort of an internal conflict for a lot of people because they look at saving and investing their money and they look at vacations and they have this really tough competition in their head between, is it really worth spending all the money for vacation when I can invest this money and then later use it to go on even a better vacation or buy a house or whatever that money might be used for. It could be used for a better purpose. Now, I do understand that some people may not see the value of a vacation, especially going all out on a vacation. However, I do think that vacations are a very important part of life, especially if you are married and have a family. Those memories are going to last an entire lifetime, and it's going to be totally worth it in the end. Even though I've always felt very strongly about the importance of vacations, I had a moment yesterday, in fact, that really brought this out and made me want to make this video. What happened was my in-laws recently came down from Utah down to Arkansas to visit us because my wife and I just had our first baby. And they only stayed for a couple of days and they went down to Florida to go visit my sister-in-law and her husband. Now, on their way back, they were planning on driving through Texas, which would have taken off probably 2 hours off of their trip. My mother-in-law decided that she wanted to take the extra 2 hours to come back up to Arkansas to visit us for a little bit so she could see the baby again. Now, at first I thought this was crazy because I thought, wow, you're only going to be here for 15, 20 minutes because you're already running late. And so it really didn't make sense in my head. But then I started to really think about it and I thought, you know what? In 5 years, my in-laws are going to remember visiting the baby one more time, even if it's just 15 minutes. And they're not going to be remembering how it was 2 hours out of their convenience. And so they either had to skip staying in a hotel that night or they just got less sleep, whatever it was. They're not going to remember that. They're going to remember spending time with the baby, which is going to be a wonderful memory for them and therefore worth it. Now, I can compare this as well to money and spending it on vacations. A lot of times, if you were to say, let's say $2,000, and you were just to hold on to it, that money is not going to be very memorable. Granted, in 20, 30 years, if you invest it, it can become memorable. However, if you are not filling your life with memories today, or this year, or next year, or even within the next 5 years, what's the point of saving all this money up? What's the point of enjoying life? Because guess what? You're going to hit 30, 40 years from now, and you're not going to be able to spend that money because you don't have those habits. You don't have the ability to say, I'm going to take a $3,000 vacation with my wife. You're not going to have the ability to say, you know what, let's go on a cruise, because you've been so caught up in this idea of not needing a vacation that by the time you're 40, 50, even 60 years old, not only are you more limited in what you can do, you're just not going to have that habit or even really that ability to just take $2,000 or $3,000 to take an amazing trip. So I actually want to show you the plan I have to save money for vacations. It is totally dependent on how much I want to work outside of my $40,000 a year job, my base salary. So any extra income I make is what goes into the vacation. Let me show you that plan right now. So this is my family budget. It's extremely complex. I'm actually going to be going over it in other videos. However, today, as I mentioned, we're only focusing on vacation. So how it works is this. I have this secondary income. It's called OutSchool and extra income. So this is the money I make on OutSchool, YouTube, podcasts, with my freelance writing, any other money that comes in that's not from my teaching salary. And what we do is we put it, and this goes for my wife as well, we put aside 15% to go into vacation. Also, when we get tax returns, or in our case, we actually save about 30% of our OutSchool income because it is not taxed when we get the money. We take 35% of whatever we get from that as well. And so it does add up quite a bit. So here's how the vacation actually works. My wife and I have decided we want to take a family vacation every single year. Of the money that comes into our vacation fund, so again, that 15% from the secondary income and the 35% from tax returns or our OutSchool, the extra OutSchool money we have at the end, 60% of it will go into that particular year's vacation. 25% goes into a triannual big vacation. So every 3 years, we're going to take a bigger trip. And then 10% goes into our future children's graduation trips. And then 5% goes to my wife and I to, just once or twice a year, go have a nice little weekend somewhere. Nothing huge, just something really small. So the yearly vacation, sorry, will be shorter and smaller vacations. We live in Arkansas, so those would be trips to Branson. Could even be a road trip to Washington D.C., perhaps St. Louis. And then we have our triannual. I actually need to fix that. We were talking about doing biannual, but we've decided triannual. The triannual big vacations can be where we go on the cruises, a cross-country road trip to Florida, we do Disney World, go to California, do Universal, Disneyland, Hollywood, all that good stuff. That's going to be every 3 years. And then the graduation trips, which again, we just had our first baby, so that's way down the road. But they're going to sort of plan that out their junior years in high school and under a certain budget to get to do whatever they want as a family. So here's some examples of what a vacation could look like. So in year one, if we saved up $5,000, $3,000 or 60% would go into that year's vacation. We'd have $3,000 for that year's family vacation. $1,250 would go towards the triannual vacation. So let me put that in, triannual. $500 would go into the graduation trip for the future, and then $250 would go towards my wife and I. So after 3 years, again, let's say we save $5,000 that particular year, $2,500 will go in from the last 2 years. So the $1,250 plus the $1,250 of year one, year two, plus we'll get $4,250 from that particular year, bringing our total to $6,250 for that year's vacation. Now, $4,250 comes from, again, if we look up here, 60% into the year's vacation, 25% goes into the triannual. So in that particular year, 85%, every triannual year, 85% of the vacation money actually goes into that year's vacation because it is a triannual, plus the additional 60%. So $0 would go into the next year's vacation because that would just be the normal vacation. It's not going to go towards a triannual or anything. $500 would still go towards graduation trips, and then $250 would go towards my wife and I. Now, I do want to repeat, vacations are extremely important to me. Obviously, this plan that I've created and laid out does not have to be the plan that you lay out. It could be a big vacation once in every 5 years with an actual vacation every 2 years, or even every 3 years, depending on what you're wanting to do or how you're wanting to save and move that money around. However, again, I do believe that taking a vacation is extremely important. It's going to create memories that are going to last a lifetime, that you honestly aren't going to ever miss that money. I recently took a trip with my wife about a year ago where we spent well over about $1,200, $1,300, and that was before I had the supplemental incomes of working on Outschool, doing YouTube, or any other secondary incomes. And honestly, we thought that it was going to be very difficult to let go of that $1,200, $1,300. However, I don't look at my bank statements. I don't look at my investing. I don't look at my stocks or anything and think, oh, wow, I really wish I had that $1,200 or $1,300 because it could have been so much more now. No, I have really great memories of that vacation where my wife and I got to spend time together, make memories, and to this day we talk about it. And that's something that I wouldn't trade for $1,200 or $1,300. Now, I realize that this YouTube channel is focused on saving money, investing money. However, as I mentioned in the first episode of The Journey, it's also about making memories. I don't like to spend money on things that aren't memorable. I just don't. That's why the last video, we talked about fast food and why going out to eat fast food on an impulse buy is not really worth it because it's not going to be memorable. And in fact, if you go out less, and you go out with people that are important to you, or you go out to a really fancy meal, even if it's by yourself, it's going to be memorable. Therefore, it's going to be worth it. Vacation is the exact same thing. If you're always going out having fun, doing crazy things, then maybe the vacation isn't going to be as memorable. If you really save money for that vacation and you tell yourself, instead of maybe going to the trampoline park or going to the water park, the local water park, and whatever else you might want to do, if you save that money and you put it into your vacation fund, then when you actually do go on vacation, it's going to be a lot more memorable. That doesn't mean you can never do fun things, of course. I like to do fun things every once in a while as well, of course. I value going to a baseball game once or twice every summer for the fireworks show. Again, that's memorable for me. Going to a normal game would not be memorable. And if I went to 10 games every single year, those would not be memorable. When I go to football games, it's the exact same thing. I pick 1 or 2 games every single season. Those are very memorable games, as opposed to being a season pass holder, season ticket holder, where the games would sort of mesh together. And I'd only remember the really big games that my team that I root for would win. And so even though I do those occasional really fun things, I make sure they're all very memorable. And in fact, they become in a sense, their own tiny mini vacation. Now, I do like to do a lot of free vacations or nearly free vacations, camping out with my family, where we spend $10 on camping supplies. We already bought the tent, we bought the sleeping bag. That money's been spent, it's been well used. And so it's not costing us anything today. We like to go hiking. A lot of times we like to have an all-out movie night where we watch 2 or 3 movies at a time with we order a pizza and get treats and root beer floats, whatever we want to get. And that's, $10, $15 for the entire family. Again, that's not something that's going to really affect my bank account. It's not really going to take away from a future vacation. However, it does create wonderful memories. My last recommendation is this. When you are on vacation, be on vacation. Don't take phone calls from work. Don't check your work email. Don't do anything that's going to remind you of being back home. Also, don't think about the money that's being spent. In fact, I like to pre-buy all my tickets. If I'm going to a theme park, I pre-buy the tickets. If I'm going to the show, I'm going to pre-buy the tickets. If I'm going to go to the grocery store, if we're staying at a resort, I like to do that on day 1 and just spend all the money on day 1, so that the rest of the vacation, I'm not thinking about the $100 that I'm going to be giving for a certain show, or the $200 to go to the amusement park for the family. So when I do that, it makes it a lot more enjoyable, and I just don't think about the money. Because the second you start thinking about the money, you start to rationalize in your head whether or not you're actually having a fun time. Giving you an example, I did this one time going to a theme park. It was in the middle of the summer. I normally like to go in September, October. However, I went in the summer. I paid my $75 ticket, and we were waiting in line all day long. Normally, I wouldn't let this really affect me. I'd find fun in the experience, either with people I'm with, or with the food I get to eat, or the few rides I do get to ride. But this particular time, I kept focusing on, wow, I really wish that I hadn't spent this money. I'm buying every single ride is like $10 because I'm only going to get on 7 rides today. Is this really worth $10? And when I did that, I did not enjoy my trip. I did not enjoy my experience at all, in fact. And so it was a total complete waste of money. The very next year I went again around the similar time, but I had a different mindset. I made the decision that I was going to enjoy my time no matter how crazy and busy it was. Of course, it was busy and crazy, but I didn't think about the money I had spent. In fact, I pre-bought my ticket 2 or 3 weeks before that. And so it was a lot more enjoyable than if I was constantly thinking about, oh, this ride's actually costing me $8, or I can't believe I'm waiting in line for an hour and a half. And that just made all the difference in the world. So when you go on a vacation, pre-buy all your stuff that you can. Obviously, you're going to have to buy some stuff. You're going to have to pay for meals while you're there. You're going to have to pay for taxi rides if you go international or whatever it is. But prepay as much as possible. And then just don't worry about the money that's being spent. Budget it out, of course. Don't go overboard. But just don't focus on that money, and you're going to make a lot better memories. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please like and subscribe. This has been episode 2 of the journey. If you want to watch episode 1 that I focused on saving money on fast food and using that money to invest it and make it better for yourself, be sure to check it out in the link below. Again, this whole series is about how to make your life better, how to create 1 million memories, how to make $1 million, how to make $1 million, whatever you want. The goal is that you're going to be able to get there with me. Again, I am not telling you this as what I have done. I'm telling you what I am doing. I am not at that point yet. I am going along the journey with you so that you can follow me, you can join me, and together we can find success. So again, check out the link, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you guys soon.